Hey friends, this is Sean Willard from the beautiful wonders of South Africa. Welcome to the Purpose Inspired podcast. I am your host. That's me, Sean, and I'm bringing this on both as a podcast, but also as a video. For those of you, some of you like to watch, some of you like to listen on your walks and on your journey in your car. So I'm bringing this particular podcast, episode 1, in the Purpose Inspired Life. And I'm going to talk to you a little bit about why I call it the Purpose Inspired Life, as opposed to maybe the driven life that we know so well. A lot of people talk about that. I don't want to be driven. I want to be inspired, because my mantra is living life from the inside out. Now, for those of you who don't know me, I'm going to give a short intro, a little bit of my story. There'll be plenty of time to talk more about my story as we go into future episodes. And the only reason I will share my story is because I believe it will help you potentially at this time of your life. Now, you might be 22, you might be 32, you might be 62. But here's what I've discovered. People are going through shift. That's why my tagline is, because shift happens, right? Shift does happen. Yes, and it was a play on words. Shift happens. And shift happened for me around about 2005, probably leading up to that a lot earlier. But 2005, I opened up a book that read, the open stanza in the book was, the most important 2 days in a person's life are the day they're born and the day they discover why. And I thought, I just closed the book right there and I said, Sean, what's your why? I mean, we know the first day, right? We know the day we're born. If you don't know that day, that could maybe be a very interesting book. But it's that second day, that elusive why day, the why that makes you cry day. You know that kind of why. Yeah, look into the camera. And if you're listening, you know what I'm talking about. This podcast, this whole series that I'll do and chat about on a weekly basis over the next who knows how long, will be about inspiration, about intention, about living life from the inside out. It will be about your purpose, about your passion, of course, about profit as well, for all of you business owners. I'm a pharmacist by occupation, and as I say, as a brief intro, I started in pharmacy back in the late 80s. As you can see by the color of my beard, I started back in the late 80s and was in retail pharmacy for most of probably 2.5 decades, until I sold my pharmacy here in the beautiful village of Franschhoek. We call it the gastronomical capital of South Africa. I'd always been entrepreneurial by nature. I was looking at other ventures, involved in other ventures all the way through my pharmacy career. But there was something inside of me that was crying for something deeper. I couldn't put my finger on it. Maybe that's where you're at. Maybe you're at that point where there's a deep stirring inside of your heart, right? And I'm a faith guy, so I'm going to talk through that filter all the way through these podcasts. You know, I hope that doesn't offend you. If it offends you, then this is probably not the right podcast for you. But I'm a grace guy, so everything that I live, everything that I talk about, everything that I am, is filtered through that filter. And in 2005, there was this kind of almost an eruption, a tsunami of unsettledness inside of me. It also probably was accelerated or accentuated by the fact that my hero, my dad, passed away in 2005. When I say it was also my sibling's hero. He was just the most amazing guy. Old Les Willard, a huge man with a huge heart. And in 2005, he passed away suddenly. And it was kind of like, I felt like it was the changing of the guard. My dad had always been the guy that was on the phone to me, Sean, how's it going? What's happening? What's the latest news? He was almost living, in a sense, I think, through his children at that stage of his life, where he wanted to know the stories of what David was doing, what Colleen was doing, what I was doing. And it was a great encouragement to him. But I almost felt like I couldn't change at that time. Maybe you know what I'm talking about. Once that happened, it was like the corner man, I'd been fighting. The corner man who had been saying to me, you can do another round, you can go another round, wasn't there anymore. And it was a time for me to step back, to reflect and say, is this what I'm really called to? Now, let me just tell you that in my book, which I wrote back in 2011 called Have a Life Attack, not as Les Brown thought I said, have a laugh attack. We'll talk about that story another time when I mentored with Les. But Have a Life Attack, I talk about myself being a reluctant pharmacist. I loved pharmacy. I loved the people of pharmacy. I loved my staff. I loved my customers. I loved interacting with people. I loved making people laugh. I really believe that laughter is the best medicine. You know, what's the old proverb say? A merry heart does good like medicine. I loved helping people just to feel good and feel better about life. I really want to say that before knowing this quote that I'll quote you now, I really loved bringing hope to people, because understanding my occupation is one where people have now been sitting in a surgery waiting for a doctor. Maybe they've been potentially given bad news. They're not feeling great about themselves. They might have a chronic ailment or challenge that they're dealing with. So when they walk into a pharmacy, most people aren't walking in with a little, bounce in their step. And it was almost, I would say, a subconscious desire inside of me, a goal to bring hope to people. And I love what Napoleon said, that leaders are dealers in hope. Leaders are dealers in hope. And I often joke about the fact that I moved from dope dealer to hope dealer. All the way through my career as a pharmacist, I wanted to bring hope. But in that time, that 2005, coming back to my story, I just felt like this is the time to shift. And a few years later, it took a while. Again, just take this from whence it comes. From me as a faith guy, I woke up just after 12, 12:15 on the 1st of January in 2008. And I had this deep sense, almost a knowingness inside of my heart. I can say that I felt these words, whether it was my own conscience speaking to me or God speaking to me. I felt this sense of 2008 is the year of open gates and open doors. What you've cried for, longed for, and prayed for, Sean, in the years before will be fulfilled in 2008. And I just knew this was the end of my era in pharmacy as a retail pharmacist. In probably April I think it was in April of 2008, I woke up on a Thursday morning. I said to Michelle, today our pharmacy will sell. And there was no indication of any buyer. At 7:45 that evening, I got a phone call from a friend of mine, and Neil, who said, Sean, is your pharmacy still on the market? And I said, yeah. He said, I've got a buyer for you. And that ended up being the buyer. So it was a changing of the guard. Maybe you going through that shift right now in your life. There's a deep stirring inside of you for more, to be more, to do more, to have more, but specifically to be more. It's the moving from success to significance. Now, we all want success, don't get me wrong. I love what John Maxwell, one of my mentors, says about success, by the way. You may just want to write this down. This is just as I think about it. He says success is when the people that know you the best love and trust you the most. Isn't that beautiful? When the people that know you the best, I'm thinking siblings, yeah, spouse, kids, the people that know you the best love and trust you the most. I always think, you can fool some of the people all of the time, all of the people some of the time, but not all of the people all of the time. I remember when I was training as a John Maxwell coach, and again, I'm going to throw these stories in from time to time. You just have to realize that this is who Sean Willard is. I'll come back to my story. I was training his 21 irrefutable laws of leadership. I just certified as a John Maxwell coach. And one of those laws was the law of the picture. People do what people see. And I remember driving along the road, and I was about to go train a corporate group on this law that particular Monday morning. And I had to pull off on the side of the road and phone my beautiful wife, Michelle, and say, sweetie, I've really blown this. I'm not being the right picture to my kids, to you, of leadership. Forgive me. And work with me in order to become a better version of who I want to be. And folks, I could probably make that phone call every day of my life. Because here's the thing. We're all failing forwards. As long as we're learning and growing. John wrote another book called, we either learn, we learn along the way, or we win. It's not that we lose. And I we're always winning. We're always learning through our experience, as long as we plan, do, check, and adjust along the journey. So, Sean, get back to your story. 2005, that happens. 2008, we sell the pharmacy. And then I go into kind of this interim in-between period. And again, I'm not going to go into the depth of the story. I'll share more on future podcasts. But I'm just giving you the 30,000 foot view right now. Kind of an in-between period where I really didn't know what I wanted to do. I knew there was something else, but I didn't know what I was called into. If you've ever been through those double doors at a security, maybe like a bank, you walk in and there's those lights up at the top. It's a green light, red light, and the green light comes on. You open the first door, and you walk into that interim period, that corridor, and then the door closes behind you, and then you look up. And for a closet claustrophobic, it's an absolute terrible time. A few seconds while you're stuck in between those double doors, and you wait for the green, you pray for the green light to come on, and then the green light comes on, you step into the bank. It was that period where I was, what am I meant to do? Now, some of you are making the shift. Some of you haven't made that shift yet. Some of you are making that shift, and you're right there in those double doors. I feel you, man. As a closet claustrophobic, but I also feel you in terms of that. What am I meant to do? You know, I've sold my business. I've moved out of that relationship. Perhaps I've moved from this town to that town. I've changed professions. I've changed departments. There's just something. I've made the shift, Sean, or I'm making the shift, but I'm stuck. And as one of my mentors said, stuck stinks. Stuck stinks. It does, but it doesn't have to. Again, what's the meaning that I attribute to my stuckness, right? What am I learning in that part? So I'm going to help, hopefully, over these next series of podcasts and episodes to help you through my story and other people's stories, as I interview other people and share with you my own experience. How to make that shift. Inspire you to live intentionally, to choose to make that shift. I shifted through those doors and I certified with John Maxwell. I trained with Les Brown in 2010 as a motivational speaker. Went to one of his boot camps, and then went on to certify with John Maxwell as a speaker, coach, and trainer, and then certify as a DISC personality and behavioral consultant. And interesting as life is, and I'll tell you that it's very interesting, and I'll share again more in depth with this. It doesn't always work out the way you want it to work out. In fact, it seldom does, right? I see that hand. I went back into pharmacy in different capacities as a trainer, as a marketing manager, as a PR and training manager for a large healthcare corporate, yes, but complementary healthcare product. Helped a company, help them launch a national range of supplementation. I've been on all sides of the counter in the wellness industry, both in direct sales as a pharmacist. Always had a wellness kind of side to me, and we'll talk a lot about wellness as well. I always say, if you want to break free, if you want to walk free, you've got to deal with all three. You've got to deal with your body, your soul, and you've got to deal with your mind, your body and your spirit. Some of you are really healthy physically, but your mindset is not in a great space. Some of you have a great mindset, maybe a great body, but you feel like there's something missing spiritually, for you in terms of a deeper sense and meaning in your life. And we will talk to those along that journey too. So, folks, that's a little bit about me. I've really just spoken from my heart in this first one. Now, I'm recording this sometime in November 2024. So this is when the first podcast and video is going to come out on the purpose-inspired life, living life from the inside out. You might be watching this in 2025, 2026, 2027. Who knows? I hope and I pray that you've come to this channel for such a time as this. This is the right time. When you watch this video, it's the right time. If that's in November of 2024, that was the right time. If it's in May of 2025, that's the right time. This is your time. And you'll know that as you listen to my voice, as you watch this video. This is a channel you want to subscribe to, and you want to follow along to. A lot of my podcasts are going to be short, to the point, little inspirational stories, messages to you, my audience, my friends, our tribe, as we build this community together. Can I ask you a big favor? Subscribe, share it around with your friends, tell them to subscribe as well, and let's build a great community of people who are all about purpose. They don't want to be driven. They want to be inspired, and you can be inspired. I'll leave you with this final thought. When I talk about the purpose-inspired life and living life from the inside out, this really became real for me in the last 3.5 years, 4 years actually. I think it was about 4 years ago, where I was driving along with Michelle on one of our Sunday visits to a neighboring town, and I said to her, sweetie, I just feel like I don't want to live life where it's almost like that puppet on the strings, right? I don't want to live a life where I feel like circumstances are happening to me, and that's what's causing me to do and decide on various things. I want to live life from the inside out. And it was like, that was the moment I just said, that's it. That's the tagline. Living life from the inside out is the purpose-inspired life. That transformed my thinking, transformed my life in terms of the way I did life. It was an interesting time when it happened globally, and I'm not going to go into all those details, where I chose to not buy into the narrative of fear and anxieties and reactions to what people were saying and doing from the outside in. And that's the way that I've chosen to live. Do I get it right all the time? I'm afraid not. But I'm on that journey. And if you'll join me on that journey, I'll encourage you, inspire you, and hopefully help you, bring you hope with your life, with your calling, with your next season. If you're in the double doors, don't worry. Those green lights are going to turn on, and you're going to move to the next level of your calling. I'm going to share this as I finish off right now, because I feel it in my heart. And for those who know and have trained with me, who have coached with me in my inner circle, one-on-one over a cappuccino, because I am, after all, the cappuccino coach, will know that I speak intuitively from my heart, from my spirit. There are a few of you watching this right now whose lives, honestly, will never be the same again. You've been waiting for that sign. This is it. This is the sign. You've been thinking, I just need someone, I just need to hear that word. I just need to get that, almost that catalyst to spur me on, to encourage me, to be in my corner, to say, you can do it. You can do it. So hang in there with me, stick with me as we journey together on the Purpose Inspired Life podcast. This has been Sean from the beautiful winelands of South Africa, and I look forward to bringing you episode 2 shortly from the winelands. Cheers. God bless.